I think it's just because like I don't take things seriously. So when I do the videos, like I'm having fun, I'm being like a goofball, and it's like I know that there are some people that will look at that and be like, "What's she doing? Like she's an idiot." But like I don't care because I know that people enjoy it, and the people that do enjoy it, they share it a lot.
Welcome to Beyond The Blacklights podcast. My name is Emanuele Millozzi and I'm a DJ producer and record label owner. Every week, I interview insiders of the electronic music industry to talk about the scene from different perspectives, giving useful tips to the new generations. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Beyond The Blacklights podcast. I'm here with Mha Iri, Scottish DJ and producer based in Melbourne, Australia. She's been releasing music constantly in the last couple of years, reaching top labels in the techno scene like Analytictrail and Orange recordings. Mha Iri is very active on the social media and she's got thousands of followers that engage with her content regularly. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation, Mha Iri. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Very good. So let's get straight into business. How did you get like into techno? How did your passion start for techno?
Sure. So honestly, it started from a pretty young age because my older brother, he is about 41, I think he is. I hope he's not younger than that because he might be a bit upset. But yeah, he used to DJ techno on vinyl, and he was kind of a little bit into production, but not so much, more just DJing. And so I grew up with that sound in the house. And my dad used to go every week to the market and buy illegal, like copied CDs, which is terrible, but I think everyone did it then, so it's fine. So he would buy those, and we would like get a lot of different styles of music every week, and I really loved drum and bass, trance, techno, but yeah, when I turned 16 I started going to like illegal raves with friends in the middle of nowhere in Scotland, which was a really beautiful introduction to it because I met a lot of people that were in it too, and yeah, made a lot of good connections, and then just kind of kept going from there. Obviously was a clubber for a long time. And then got into DJing and then started to learn production. So it all just kind of happened in its own way. Interestingly.
So you got a good rave curriculum, but basically you grow up with with that kind of sound since the young age, and yeah.
Exactly.
And
yeah, I was introduced to it.
So how when this like the transition happened from like obviously from music lover to start like producing and DJing? How did it happen?
Yeah, so with DJing, that actually just happened by mistake, which is a bit strange, but I actually got asked to host a radio show on Kiss FM for a festival called Earthcore, which doesn't happen anymore, but it was one of the biggest festivals in Australia. It was mainly based around psytrance, but also techno and other genres. And this girl tagged me saying, "Oh, Mha Iri has a really cool like accent. Maybe you should ask her to go on the radio." So the guy contacted me, and this was about maybe, I don't know, 6 years ago, 7, I'm not sure, like around that time. And he contacted me, and I went for like an interview for the radio station, and then I started to present it. And basically the weeks that there was no one there, because some of them used to party and things like that, so they wouldn't come to work on the Sunday, whereas I couldn't really be bothered with that. I would be good. So I would always be there. And if there wasn't a DJ that had, say, not come in on that day, like they called in sick or whatever, we actually didn't have someone to play, like it was done live. So one of the guys was like, "You should really start learning, because when you're presenting, you can even DJ at the same time, stop, chat, and then start to DJ again." So yeah, that was basically how I learned. My partner helped me to buy a pair of like CDJ 400s and a DJM 400, which is like a bit of an older version because it's not as expensive. And then I just kind of learned from there. And then I started to just do the radio show with me playing and talking. And then from there, I got asked to play in a couple of clubs. And then I got a residency, and then I started to play festivals. And then I think after about a year of DJing, I realized that I wanted to try production. I did try learning production for maybe about 6 months with YouTube and things, but I just wasn't getting anywhere. And that's when I decided to do a course. So, yeah, prior to that, it was just, I mean, I was just dragging samples into Ableton, and it wasn't in key. I didn't have any knowledge at all, you know, it just sounded absolutely awful.
So
So,
would you say for someone who's starting out, would you say it's important obviously that they find some kind of guidance, you know, some kind they follow like a course instead of learning like hard way by themselves?
yeah, I think that everyone learns differently. So ultimately, for me, having the structure and having I had a mentor who basically I would send the baseline that I would create to him. So I would send the project. He would explain to me how you need to EQ it and how it needs to sit in the mix, and then he would send the project back with like a video, like 15 minutes explaining the process,
Okay.
and that really helped me. And I did that for like the full track. So I would go through like all the percussion. I would basically map out someone else's track in Ableton and figure out how they build energy, how they take it away. Referencing, I think, is really, really useful for anyone who's starting to learn. But I think it just depends on the person. Some people can just completely self-teach. I think maybe if you have music theory and you already play an instrument, it can be a bit easier. But it really just depends on the person. I don't think there's any right or wrong way to learn.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
whatever helps.
nowadays you can find a lot of information, obviously, so on YouTube. But probably if you got someone like guiding you and giving you some kind
That's
of
it,
like a process, you're gonna speed up the process, I guess. And
for sure.
so, like in your creative process, do you like when you start like doing new music? Do you have like some kind of process that you follow? You just go with the flow? Where do you get inspired from?
So usually I'll have an image in my head, and that's usually what tends to inspire the name as well of the track, just depending. But I'll have like an idea or an emotion that I want to convey, and then I'll just basically choose a key, and then I'll choose a scale, pardon me, and then I'll just start to jam out notes, and then I'll bring it an octave up and maybe widen the notes and bring it an octave down and add arpeggiators, and I just basically experiment over a phrase, um, looking at the main busiest part, and then once I have a loop or say a build up and drop, so the main build up and drop that I'm really happy with, that's when I start to expand out the way from there. But that's pretty much it. There's not any rules. I used to start from the beginning and just add the kick bass and then try and
From the
add
intro,
percussion,
okay.
and like I was so slow when I was doing that because I was just adding and adding things and there was no real rhyme or reason. Whereas now I have a set focus on what elements and how I want them to take space in the spectrum, and then actually making sure all the notes are working together rather than just random notes everywhere. So
So
that's pretty
you
much
would
it.
say it's better to start like from the busiest part, like you know you do like a 16 bar loop with
Yeah.
all the elements and then expand it from that. But do you complete like everything you start, or you start many ideas and then you pick the best one?
That's it. No, I usually, when I start an idea, if I don't like it within the first day or two, I just scrap it. Like I try to finish everything, but sometimes you might go away, you'll have a day's break, and you go back and you're just like, it's not right. And then you just have to maybe take away some elements and add something fresh rather than just keep trying to work on sounds that aren't sounding great.
Yeah, I think I agree
So,
with you. It's always better like to keep a little bit or like maybe a few days gap to hear what
yeah.
you're doing with a fresh like mind and see if it works. Yeah.
That's it. Even like mix down decisions, like sometimes you turn it back on and you're like, that vocal is far too high, or just simple things that when you were working on it for hours and hours, you got
Everything
completely
sounds the
lost.
same after a few hours.
Yeah. And you have that clarity after a day or two where you're like, okay, this is what I need to do. Whereas before your mind was just full of like the same loop. So yeah.
And obviously, you've been like in the last couple of years, you've been like very active. You have many releases, and obviously in nowadays, in music in general, but especially in electronic dance music and in techno, there are like thousands of new releases basically
Yeah.
every week. So there is tons of new, because obviously it's, music production is more accessible for everybody, which is a good thing. But then obviously
Yeah.
it's like, let's say the market is kind of saturated. So how, and I think gaining attention obviously is one of the main struggles for people that are producing
Mm.
music now. So how is it, how hard is it? How, what's your, like, what's your experience? How is it hard to get your music noticed? After you've done your job, like making the
Yeah.
music, how hard is it, like, to get people to listen to it?
I think it's definitely it's pretty hard. It takes years, I mean, the thing is, I think I've been producing all in all for maybe nearly 4 years, and I guess it's recently that my music has been noticed. But I think that on a local level, because I DJ very regularly and I have quite a big base here, that's helped me a lot, because even when people support you and buy your tracks, it can help you to be noticed even as the top seller on that label, for example, and then people start to know your name. But I think also, yeah, like you said, with social media and stuff, like having a good fan base where people are talking about you, and trying to obviously focusing completely on the music as much as you can, but also thinking about your marketing and how you want people to view you, and what message you want to convey as an artist, is important as well. But
So
it is hard.
you would say that, like, making good music is not enough. Just
Yeah, I
making
mean,
good
I
music.
I think it can be. It just depends how lucky you are. Like, I know people that are incredible producers. Like, I have some friends that are incredible producers, and they're not well known at all, So I think it's luck. It depends, again, like what you do on social media as well. Like, there's a lot of factors. Unfortunately, like, this is the way it is. So, I mean, I think that my music is good, but there's people that are a million times better than me, that are definitely don't have as much of a following. Not that I'm famous or anything, because I'm not, but it's just, there's just so many factors. It's just so difficult to figure out what the perfect rule is.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, I think, like, often, obviously you need to make good music because that's the main product. But then
Of course.
you
Yeah.
need to find a way, obviously, to market it. And obviously, social media, they play like, a really big part on it. And you're quite successful.
Yeah.
You're quite successful on social media, and you deserve it because you're active. You upload a lot of content, and
Thank you.
people engage with it. And I see that actually your video, they go viral quite often, so they get like reshared by, like, theme pages and everything. So
Yeah.
so do you think that plays like a big part in your career? And what's your approach, to like to keep, like, really, releasing content constantly and finding, obviously, I think you need to find a balance, because
Of course.
you need to invest time in the promotion and social media, but you still need to make good music. So how do you
That's it.
manage that? What's your approach?
Well, in terms of like Instagram and Facebook, I mean, honestly, I don't spend that much time on it. I'll maybe record a video and then I'll save the video and then I'll just share it like a few days later with like a little post. It doesn't really take a lot of time. I mean, at the moment, I'm working full time because of Corona, so obviously I can't DJ anymore. So I'm working in a call center role, which is fine. But before that, I was just DJing, and then through the week I had a lot of time to basically study. Like, I usually do like audio tech courses now and again, or watching other producers tutorials, like Zen tutorials, those kind of things. So I have like little blocks of study where I'll study actual synthesis, which is still something that I want to learn a lot more about, but it just takes so much time and it's very hard. And then the rest of the time is idea generation, or like working on a drop, or working on a new track, finalizing it, that kind of thing, which is basically just studio time. And then the other like 20 minutes, half an hour of the day is just to sort out the stuff with Facebook and things like that. But like one thing I've found that's really good is with my Facebook now, I've set my personal profile to completely private, and I've deleted like 5,000 people, like maybe 4,000 people from my personal profile. And then that means when I share stuff on my artist, it means people kind of view that as my personal profile as well, because it's too much of a distraction. Like, I'm happy to do what I do, the 20 minutes, maybe sometimes half an hour, but I don't want to sit scrolling, looking at nonsense on Facebook, because that's not how we're supposed to live our lives as human beings. Like, that's a really sad way to live. But I think it's very easy to get in that trap, you know? And I mean, it's great to get a lot of support, but you don't want it to become this thing where you're constantly obsessive about people liking your things or following your stuff. Ultimately, it's all about the music at the end of the day. This side is just a tool that you can use to reach more people with your music, you know?
And so why do you think like that you actually get success with, you know, with the video, the content, you know, why do you think they go viral? What's your like secret? Like, why do you think they resonate with people? Why do you think? Why is that?
I think it's just because like I don't take things seriously. So when I do the videos, like I'm having fun, I'm being like a goofball, and it's like I know that there are some people that will look at that and be like, what's she doing? Like, she's an idiot. But like, I don't care, because I know that people enjoy it, and the people that do enjoy it, they share it a lot. But I think that people are always interested in what producers are doing. Like, it is difficult, I think, especially if you're quite introverted. Like, I know a lot of producers that they wouldn't want to be in front of a camera, like doing stuff like that, and that's totally fine. But I've just found that sharing those videos has been really successful, and people really enjoy them, and so it's a good way for me to connect with people, and it also helps me to get more traffic as well. So it's just, all in all, it's a good thing.
Being natural, basically, being genuine. You don't try to act. That's just who you are, and that's why people like it.
Yeah, just having a laugh, you know. Like, I mean, my personality, like, I guess I'm not your average person. Like, I have quite a crazy personality, and I suppose maybe that shows there as well. But I don't care. I'm happy with that, you know.
Yeah, I think that's why then, because if you don't care, you know, you're not trying to, you know, you're not trying to be liked by nobody, and that's why people like you then, because you're original. Yeah. And so, as we said, you are from Scotland, but you live in Melbourne, Australia. And so I was wondering, what's obviously not now with the COVID-19, probably there is not like the rest of the world. There is no club scene, but like in a normal situation, how's the club scene like? Is techno and maybe, anyway, underground music like techno, house? Is it popular? You know, is it different from Europe, or what's it like?
It is. I mean, say about 3 years ago, there wasn't a lot of techno. It was more tech house and like progressive house. But in the last 3 years, particularly the last year, and I think that this is reflective quite a lot all over the world, techno has become very popular, and so also it's become very popular here, which is great for me. I mean, it's great for all the techno DJs and producers, you know, because we're getting a lot of bookings, and it's becoming, you know, large scale events where you can have an opportunity to play in front of a big crowd, and it's very exciting. But yeah, obviously with everything happening, it's been put on hold. But yeah, I mean, Melbourne in general is very diverse. Like, there's a lot of different styles of music. There's really big events, like really well produced events, you know. So yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to be a part of that. But I think the rest of Australia is still not so much techno. I mean, there's a little bits here and there, but definitely Melbourne is the centre of that.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't actually like in my like imagination. I wasn't thinking like that. You know, this is some kind of music that could be popular in there. But I think it's getting popular. Yeah, basically all across the world. Like it's a good
Yeah,
moment for techno, and it's getting very popular. So yeah, it's nice to hear that, because it's good for
that's
everybody.
it.
Obviously, the audience gets bigger. And
Exactly.
I see that you like, let's say, teaching, because I see you do live master classes, yeah, where you do the construction
Yeah.
of your tracks, and you try obviously to teach other people. Is this something like you like a lot? Do you see yourself doing it more in the future? And also wanted to ask you, do you like when you do like doing when you do the construction, of your best tracks? Do you actually, it's like, do you like to share, all your techniques, or the way you do it, or maybe you think you should keep something for yourself? Do you think like showing people how you do something, does it make it like lose some magic, or do you
Mm.
think it's a good thing?
Yeah. Yeah. So with the master classes, the reason that I kind of started doing those was because when I was touring in India, this place called the Music School, but it's like music cool.
Okay.
They asked me if I wanted to go there as a guest. And I just thought that I would be kind of going there to chat, like an interview. But I prepared a couple of tracks anyway. Like I had them all color coded for, the different sounds that and the space they take up in the spectrum. Like I had everything tidy, because when I work, like it's a mess. Like I just have everything everywhere in Ableton. It's not very good, but that's just how I work. I get things down quickly, and then it's just like, as long as I don't have to work with someone else, I don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It just works. So I had everything sorted out, and I was like, I'll just go there and I'll answer some questions, and that's fine. Anyway, I sat down and they were like, no, you have to like teach the class. And they had like a big board behind me with with Ableton on the background, and the monitors for everyone. And there was like maybe 35, 40 people there. So
Uh-huh.
I was really nervous. But then I started, and I really enjoyed it. Like I ended up talking for 2 hours. So I did an hour per track, and I went and like really into depth on it. And it was just a really, really good experience. And from then, I kind of thought I wouldn't mind doing it on Facebook sometimes. And just because with Corona and stuff, I have had, I guess, a bit more time on my hands before I started this full-time job. I've had time to think about what can I do during this time, and what can I share with other people, other producers, or people that want to learn to produce, that are probably at home, not feeling very inspired. So what can I do to share some of my knowledge with those people that might help them to be inspired in this time? So yeah, I did one on the remix for Anela, which was out on Black Cat recently, and I also did it on Mission Control. And Mission Control is coming out on Analytictrail in like a few weeks, which is exciting. But yeah, I guess the reason that I do them is really just sharing knowledge. I think that ultimately, when I was first learning, and even now, I still have gaps in knowledge, that if I had someone showing me those things, or if I had someone that I enjoyed their production on and I could watch and learn from, I think it could really be helpful. And I don't feel like I need to keep anything a secret. I don't think that there's anything I do that's like so spectacular that if someone else knows how to do it, they're going to, get more famous than me, or they're going to steal something from me. Like, I don't feel that way. I think that like with the saturation, as you say, in releases, a lot of people are referencing each other's music anyway. Like, I find a lot of music doesn't sound the same, but has similar sounds. And so ultimately, like, what's the reason not to share it, if it can help someone else?
So you're trying to have like a good impact, basically. You're trying to be positive for
Yeah. That's
that,
it, exactly.
that's
Yeah,
that.
just share the knowledge. And I mean, I do classes, so there's a girl that comes to my house every couple of weeks, and I teach her how to produce. And I've got another couple of people that want to learn with me as well. But I don't want to get too attached to that. Like, it's good for me to make a bit of money just now, and also like I have people that really want to come and see me, so I'm like, it kind of works for both of us. But when things all start up again, I probably won't continue to do it, just purely because I don't want to be a teacher. I want to just make music.
You see, yeah, you
It's
still
nice
wanna be
to.
you mainly wanna make music for now. Yeah, of
That's
course.
it. It's nice to share knowledge, but not all day, every day.
Yeah, I mean, there is time for that. It's time for that, I think.
That's it. So yeah.
And What so what's the best like tip you can give to someone to the youngest one, to someone who's just starting out with producing and DJing? What's the tips that you like that someone gave you when you just starting out that you can give now to other people?
Well, I think for DJing, I think for DJing production, I'll separate them because production is just on another level from DJing in terms of how difficult it is. But like with DJing, I would say, what was I going to say? Yeah, buy decks. So if you want to learn, just buy some cheap decks if you can afford it, or like a cheap controller or something, and just start practicing all the time whenever you have time. Don't go to your friend's house and practice with them. You'll never learn. I had like points where I was dipping the toe in, as it were, and being like, oh, I'll go to my friends and I'll practice for an hour. And I didn't really improve that much because you need to have the decks in your house and properly practice. And then you get the real passion for it as well from practicing and feeling that you're improving. And, it's a really the best way to learn, I feel. And if you know anyone that DJs, you can always ask them. But again, with DJing, there's so many tutorials like from beginner level that you can learn with. Like I learned with, I can't remember what tutorial it was, but it was this woman from like, I don't know, the 90s or something like that in Ibiza. And she teaches you how to use how to play around with EQ and make sure it's a smooth transition with the bass and the mids and highs and everything. So that was how I learned. Apart from that, if you can, go to clubs and support the events that you like the music of, because no one's going to book you if they don't know who you are and you're not there at their
Of
events,
course, but do you think that who starting DJ now should they learn it like the whole way, like obviously maybe we turntables without sync, or maybe you think being like 2020 they can just start straight away like with software and sync without knowing how to beat matching?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't want to learn in that way because I feel like if there's a problem, if something goes wrong, you wouldn't know how to fix
Of
it because
course.
your ears can't hear the problem. So I think it's definitely better to learn how to beat match first. And then if you want to, when you're a few years into your career, you decide I'd rather have tractor and I'd rather do this. Even if something goes wrong, you can still physically fix it. But I think not being able to do that is very fundamental to me. It's very important that someone can do that. Like when I learned, that's how I learned. Like the decks that I had didn't have a BPM on them. Like I would cover the BPM and I would just try and do it with the fader.
I used to do the same.
Yeah, it's the best way to. It's really annoying. Yeah, it takes time, but you get used to it. And I think that can be a good trick. Just get like a piece of tape, cover
Yeah.
the BPM, and then just listen and keep adjusting your platter. If you can't use I can't remember the name of it, but the fader thing,
Mhm.
pitch fader. If you can't use that, just adjust the platter right or left, and you'll hear it coming in, and then you have to move it up or down. I think it's important to do that. Otherwise, yeah, you're just going to be lost if there's
Of
a
course.
problem, a technical issue. You won't know how to fix it, and that would just be a nightmare. So,
So learn the basis first, of course.
yeah,
And
exactly.
what about production? What would you say is a good tip you
Yeah.
can give?
I think for production, just be prepared for it not to always be fun. Like it's going to be really hard, and there's going to be times where you probably want to throw your laptop against the wall and like run away into the hills and give up. Because like, well, for me, it's been like this. Like I have a real love-hate relationship, especially when I don't have any great ideas or I'm really struggling to, program a patch that I really want to create. I get so frustrated that I'm like I can't do this anymore, and I just give up for like a day or two, and then I go back and start fresh, and then I feel excited again. But it's a real uphill struggle, and then you might feel like you're getting somewhere, and then you realize you've got a huge gap in knowledge in this area, and then you have to learn about that, and it takes years, and it's completely normal that it takes years. Don't expect to start learning production and be banging out a number one track in a year. It doesn't work like that. If you want to do it for the passion of it, and you'll learn that it'll just take a long time, and that's normal. If you just want to do it to, I don't know, for other reasons, you're probably not going to enjoy it, and it's not going to fulfill you. You know, it's a way of life, I guess, as such.
So do it because you love it, because that's what makes you resist during the hard times, basically.
It's what gives meaning to your life. Like if you do it, it's something that makes life worth living. You know,
don't do it for an outcome. Just do it because you like it, because that's gonna get you through like the hard times when you're learning and you don't see any result. Of course.
Exactly. And if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, just accept that they're probably going to get pissed off.
I know a lot about it. Yeah. She told me, you was in front of your computer with your headphones. I said, no. But nobody can, unless it's someone who share your own passion. You know, it's very hard. It's hard to understand. We can understand each other, but nobody can understand us. That's
it.
That's for sure.
Like I'm lucky because my boyfriend has a business and he works like maybe 12 hours a day. Okay. So he gets home at 10 at night. And he said to me, if I get home at 10 at night and you're still producing, I'm going to be upset. And I'm like, okay, so by 10, I have to make sure everything's stopped. Otherwise, it's like going to cause a problem, which is fair enough, you know. But you know, it's 10 o'clock and you've got a really good idea and you're like, I can't stop.
Yeah, no, something. So, at least I'm not the only one with this problem. Then I think we all share the same problems.
It's everyone. I think every producer who's in a relationship or married or whatever, you probably have this issue. You know, it's an obsession. So of course they get pissed.
Totally. Okay, Mha Iri. Thank you very much for this interview. It's been really interesting, and I hope all the people listening have found. I'm sure they found some very useful tips.
Thank you.
What you got coming up? You got any release coming out soon? What are your next projects? Obviously, you don't have gigs because nobody got gigs. But what about your music?
No gigs. So in July, I have the 3-tracker on Analytictrail, which is exciting.
Wow.
So yeah, that's going to be a big one. And then apart from that, I have a release on Insectum in September. I have another 3-tracker elsewhere, but it's not, I can't say who it is yet because I haven't signed a contract or anything. So that's basically it. But great. Yeah, apart from that, my goal is just to keep making music. Like I had a couple. Thank you. I had a couple of weeks where I had a terrible block just from isolation because it was making me crazy. But now I'm back on the horse.
That's great. We're gonna look out for your music. And obviously, I'm gonna link your social in the description so people can follow you. So, many people, we already know you for sure. So, yeah, thank you very much once again, and we're gonna speak soon.